Creative Katie, Karen Birchall, and this is day 8 for NaNoJouMo. Take time to subscribe to my channel and select the option to get notified by email of upcoming videos. The prompt for this one is Impossible Dream. And here's a sneak peek of the finished page. So I'm working in my Canson mixed media page, and there's one of the last ones, and here's a page that I just adhered music sheets that I just had ripped up and that were in my stash. Now, instead of starting with a gessoed page, I'm omitting that step because I'm going to glue down this crumpled up tissue paper. So I'm crumpling it up, and I'm going to spread out a layer of matte gel. And I'm using matte gel because of what I'm thinking of using later on. I'm not going to use acrylics, and I just want to make sure that I get the best quality of the sprays that I'm planning on using. So I'm getting a good coverage here, and I'm just putting down the tissue paper and kind of bunching it up as much as possible. I want to get that texture. In NaNoJouMo, one of the things that I'm trying to do is create different and varied backgrounds so that regardless of whatever the focal point is, there are some techniques and some variety. We get stuck doing the same thing again and again and again, and I just want to use this as an opportunity to try to do different kinds of backgrounds and come back to some of my old favorites that I may have forgotten. So I'm putting a coat of gel medium on top, and you do have to be a little careful here because the tissue paper, you know, with the double wetness from underneath and on top, can rip, but doesn't really matter. That just is going to add more interest to the page. One thing I've found is to increase the amount of texture on the page when you put tissue paper is to put 2 layers. So that's what I'm going to do now. Crumpling it up again and adding that second layer. Now, because I've used, 2 layers of gel medium and 2 layers of tissue paper, actually 3 of gel medium, this is going to take a long time to dry. So this was one of those things that I did just one day. I gessoed a background page, and I ripped up I glued down the music sheets on a gessoed page, and I did this. So little bits and pieces that I'm going to be using on upcoming pages, but some of that prep work has been done. And that's one of the ways that you can use your time in the art studio if you're not exactly inspired to do a whole project, or you don't think that you have time to do a whole project. You can do those little things and get yourself a head start later on. So once that's dry, I'm just cutting it off, and just making sure that the edges are properly adhered. Doesn't seem to, no matter how careful I am, it's always the edges need that little extra something at the end. So this actually dried overnight or for several days while I dealt with other things in life. So right away you're going to see me get out my Lindy's Stamp Gang Starburst sprays. Now these Starburst sprays are amazing. They are water soluble, like many of the sprays, so you need to pay attention to that. And this is Alpine Tea Rose, Poinsettia, something something, and something something gold. And I've had the color scheme with the reds and the orange and golds in my head for a few days, so wasn't sure that I was going to use the sprays, but I was going to go with this color scheme regardless. So I'm just spraying them on. Now with the Starbursts, if you're not familiar with them, they have mica powders in them. So you have the color of the spray, and the mica powder is often a different color, and you get some incredible sheen and sparkle and shimmer with this. I've made my own regular colored sprays using Wilton cake decorating gels. But for the shimmer, I love these starbursts and stuff. And I'll put a link in the description box to some of these starburst sprays. They can come in sets of 5, I believe, kind of seasonal, but you can buy them singly as well. And they've got some amazing colors. So I've just kind of zoomed in here so you can really see how beautiful this is. It's almost cheating because all the shimmer is there and the color is there. All I did is spray it. So it helps create a quick background other than drawing. And I find that sprays are something that really gets in all the nooks and crannies. The poinsettia red color has kind of a bronze color in it, and then the yellow one has gold shimmer in it, and together it's just luscious. So this took quite a while to dry because not only did I put the sprays, but I added some moisture, some water to make the sprays move. So then I googled free printables, and I got this free printable, and so that's going to be my focal point. And I spent some time in the studio fussy cutting that. And then I have this stamp set with these swirls, and I just decided just to add a little bit in black on the sides. And I'm applying Dilution's black paint, but you could use just plain acrylic with a makeup sponge, or I think I use cut and dry foam there, which I like better than a makeup sponge, but I don't always have it at hand. And I'm just adding those swirls to add to kind of the dreamlike fashion of this page. And as always, when you use acrylics on your stamps, you need to stop and clean them right away. So I just sprayed it with my Murphy's Oil Soap and Detergent combo that I always have at the ready. The word dream above is actually, it's a vinyl that my friend Yvonne cut with her Cricut machine. And you'll see what I do with that in a bit. I'm just placing it. And I have this swirl stamp, so I just figure I'm just going to add this on the bottom and on the top. And I'm just applying the Dilution's black paint, just like I did with the swirls on the sides. I was a little concerned that I wasn't going to get a good enough stamp with all the texture on the page, so I was quite happy with how it ended up. I don't know that I would have gotten that precise using a StazOn ink pad or another ink pad. Now remember that my background is the sprays, and that is water soluble. So that is going to impact how I adhere stuff on. So now that I have the cut and dry foam, I decide that, I should just edge this with black right now, just to give that little bit of black edging that goes with the black of the fairy and the black of the stamping that I've done on the page. I'm really happy that you can see the shimmer and shine that this page has, that the camera was able to pick it up. I'm never quite sure that it's giving you the true color and picture of what I see in front of me. So this fairy in the fussy cutting, it wasn't very precise, and there was lots of white that showed up. So I'm just using the paintbrush, and I'm just painting over any of the white areas that were showing, just to make it a little bit more solid black. And I'm just going around a little bit on the edge, just again to get rid of that white. and giving this a quick dry. So this whole page took about, without the drying, took about 42 minutes, and I've sped it up double time. So that gives you an idea, but that doesn't count the time that I spent fussy cutting the fairy. So, but if you do those little pieces at other times, it cuts back on your actual journal page assembly time. So I decided that I'm going to trace around this dream mask with black. And again, because it's so textured, that was a little bit difficult. And I wasn't needing a solid black line. I just basically needed an outline because I plan on painting in the letters. And in fact, I don't even think you can see the outlines that I have. It doesn't look like I did anything there, but they were dark enough for me to follow. There, you can barely see it. So I'm going to use the matte gel, and I'm only going to apply it to the back of the fairy and not on my background. Remember, the sprays are water soluble, so they're going to mix a little bit. Although that wasn't my biggest concern. My biggest concern was with all that shimmer and shine, if I put the matte gel on it, I'm going to kill the shine. And I didn't want to lose any of that shine. I'm looking forward to using my Silhouette cutting machine, Silhouette Cameo. I opened the box. I have yet to take it out and give it a try to cut out things like this, and then there will be no more fussy cutting for me. Yay. I just really have to be in a right mood to be able to take on fussy cutting. I'm just adding a little bit there, but I don't want to put the matte gel on because I don't want to lose any of that shimmer. And how do I know that? Because I've done it and I've learned the hard way. So I was going to paint the dream in the gold and outline it with black. And then I decided, nope, I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to paint it in black and outline it in gold. So I'm just using cheap dollar store black acrylic and a small, very small flat brush. I'm not sure what number this is, but, and very carefully, again, you know, some challenges with the texture. So you kind of have to go slow, and I tended to have a lot of paint on my brush so that it would get into all the crevices. But I really didn't care if little bits of the color showed through. And I'm looking at the original vinyl mask that I used to trace to see where these letters and the shapes of the letters are. And got a little bit off track, but was able to fix it. In one of the previous videos, I asked the question if people like the slower speed, and I got some really positive feedback on that, so that people really liked the slower speed. And, you know, I think it gives a more realistic view of how long something takes. You know, and remember, sometimes like the fussy cutting, that was done off camera. That was ready to go once I decided what kind of focal point I was going to have. it gives the illusion that these pages are just so seamless, and we as the creators just have everything at the ready and we just know what to do and stuff, and that isn't always the case. I mean, this page I worked on for 3 different days. Problem with the videos is you get to see every painstaking little way. Sometimes if the paint isn't going on smoothly enough, just adding a little water and thinning it down will help. So that's just a little trick you can do. And because I'm going on this, I'm going to be tracing around this with my gold Sakura Jelly Roll pens, I want to make sure that it's extremely dry and cool. I find that if it's hot, and I've said this before, and I've not heard anyone else say this, so maybe it's just me, but let the page cool off after you've heated or dried things up before you go in with any of your gel pens. I've struggled and lost a few gel pens because of that. Sorry about the shadow. I'm still working out my lighting fixtures, my new lighting system in my new studio. I talked a little bit earlier about the links to my Amazon store. Full disclosure, if you go through there and you buy something, I get a small commission, which I'm going to turn around and buy stuff from Amazon that I can use in crafting. So, thank you, in advance. If you need something, be it craft related or even if it's not, if you go through my store and buy stuff, I will benefit from it. So, it's not a lot, but it helps. If you have any suggestions for how I've organized my store, please leave those in the comments as well. I've tried to organize them by categories, and then depending on the video and the products used, I might add just specific links to that product, like the Lindy Stamp Gang stuff. If you like having the exact link, let me know. I just would like to make it work easiest for everybody. But as always, when you go on there, check and double check the prices. I've selected what I think was a good price at the time I selected it. I can't guarantee that they don't change it. So I start tracing over top of the fairy, and I quickly learned that that's not quite going to work. So I just kind of smudge it off, and I'm outlining on the outside. So it's just a little bit of layer of gold. It doesn't show a whole lot, but it looks good. I didn't want to use a Stabilo and activate it with water because, again, the background here is water soluble. So you have to change up what you do based on your background. So there's all the shimmer and shine, and right away I'm going to show you some close-ups so you can see the texture, you can see how the designs look, and the different components. So even if you wanted to build up one of the components. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you for joining me on my NaNoJouMo journey. We are on day 8. It's actually day 9, so I'm a little behind, but you know, I've created every day. I just haven't necessarily finished a page. See you for number 9.